In this short video, I'm going to explain what infinitives are and how we use them in French with opinions. Okay, so firstly, we need to understand what infinitive verbs are in English. Infinitive verbs in English are really easy to spot because we simply put to before the verb. For example, to eat, to go, to do, to be, to see. Basically, it's the verb before we've said who's doing that action. So to eat is the infinitive. It's not I eat or you eat. We've not specified who is doing the eating, so it's simply to eat. Other infinitives in English would be things like to walk, to dance, to sing, basically any verb and you put to in front of it and you have an infinitive. Infinitive verbs in French are a little bit different. So on the screen you can see I've got 3 columns. This is because infinitives in French can have one of 3 endings. Sometimes the verb will end with er. Other times the verb might end with re. And there's a final group of verbs, infinitive verbs, which end with ir. So for example, the er column first, we've got jouer, which means to play, parler, which means to speak, manger, which means to eat, and danser, which means to dance. In the re column, we have vendre, which means to sell, and prendre, which means to take. And finally, the ir, finir, to finish. So infinitives in English all start with to eat, to go, to do. But in French, there are 3 possible endings. The verb will either end with an er, an re, or an ir. It's important to know what infinitives are in French because when we use opinions to say what we like doing, etc., we have to use an infinitive in French. So for example, the sentence on the screen, j'aime jouer au basket. That translates to I like to play basketball. In English, we could also say I like playing basketball. That would be fine as well. But you can see jouer is in the infinitive verb form because it ends with its er. Here's another example. Je n'aime pas faire du roller. This translates to I don't like to do or doing roller skating. Once again, we've got an opinion, je n'aime pas, I don't like, and it has to be followed by the verb in its infinitive form. So here we have faire, ending with an re, to do. One more example, j'adore manger de la pizza. I love to eat pizza, or I love eating pizza. Once again, the opinion is j'adore, and it must be followed by the verb in its infinitive form, manger. Manger here ends with er, so we know for sure it's an infinitive verb and therefore is correct. See if you can work out what these 2 sentences mean. You can pause the video while you try and work them out and then press play when you're ready to hear the answers. So the first one, j'aime écouter de la musique. I like to listen to music, or I like listening to music. And the second one, j'adore chanter. I love to sing, or I love singing. See if you can now work out what these 3 sentences would be in French. Pause the video, then when you're ready to hear the answers, simply press play. Okay, so the first one, I like to play tennis. That should be j'aime jouer au tennis. Make sure your jouer ends with an er, that way it's an infinitive. The second one, I love to watch TV. J'adore regarder la télé. Once again, make sure that regarder ends with an er. And finally, I like to dance. J'aime danser. Please make sure that danser ends with an er as well. Here's an example of what we don't want to do, a common mistake that people make when they are trying to give opinions in French. On the screen, someone has tried to write, I like to play tennis. But the verb joue, they haven't written in the infinitive form. They've simply left an e on the end. Infinitives in French end with er, ir, or re. So what's on the screen is incorrect. They've basically written, I like play tennis. To say I like to play tennis or I like playing tennis, you need to add an r onto the end of joue, which is on the screen.